Looking into the world of advertising, I'm going to be exploring different video advertisements, as this is the form of advertising that I feel has become the furthest and is now a very big part of almost everything from watching television, surfing the internet, watching videos online. Things have become very, very widespread. Looking into the world of advertising, I'm going to be exploring different video advertisements, as this is the form that I feel has come the furthest and is now a very big part of almost anything from watching television, surfing the internet, watching videos online. Things have now become very widespread. In 1941, when the first television ad was launched on television by the company Belova, which is a watch company that is still producing products to this day, as advertising on television became the norm, we then got introduced to many new adverts such as Budweiser the Frog, which meant we were introduced to many, many more products. This is also when the commercials kind of became less tactical and people were just trying to dig at what people found interesting to watch more than what the product they were trying to sell. And as we move on to the early 2000 advertisements, they became so much more expensive, much more interesting, and so much more advanced. As technology improved, so did our advertising. For example, in 2002, Pepsi bought out all the stops when spending $7.5 million just to have Britney Spears drink some Pepsi on front of a camera. It just went up and up. Moving on to the television adverts now, things are just crazy compared to what they were like before. We have managed to improve so much so fast. For example, almost every year we look forward to seeing the Christmas John Lewis adverts. Advertisements have just become something we enjoy watching alongside our television. I would say technology has had a major effect on the work of advertising, as it has everything else in the world. For example, television shows were only accessed through television, and now we can watch television through almost anything from phones, computers, laptops, tablets, which means any ad can be shown on any device at any time. We also have streaming websites like YouTube where we can find that there are a few ads in between your videos, and on the site itself you can actually search ads on your own accord. And if this isn't enough, we can go to look at the picture itself has improved. We've discovered a lot more since 1941. We now have 4K quality cameras. We have software that can make things seem realistic even though they're not. The list really does just go on. To show how technology has changed, here are 3 Ribena ads starting in 1950, 1999 and 2011 to show how it really has changed through technology. You can see in this one it's really plain and in black and white, ultimately just really simple. This one has slightly better detail than the previous, has colour but still quite washed out, however a lot more detail has been added. And here is the newest one, which is incredible detail, incredible colour, and it really pops out and stands out. It really does show how technology has changed the industry. We're going to be looking at famous directors that started off by creating television advertisements to get their big breaks. The first director I'm going to be looking at is Wes Anderson, who created the Stella advertisement in 2010. He then moved on to directing films such as Mr. Fantastic Fox, and which is one of the biggest films he's directed. The next director I'm going to be looking at is David Lynch, who created the Sony PlayStation commercial and is now directing TV series called Twin Peaks, which was very big in 1990, and then the Twin Peaks The Missing in 2014. The final director I'm going to be looking at is Michael Bay, who created a Victoria's Secret advertisement that was created in 2010. He then moved on to directing films such as Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm going to be looking at techniques which is used in advertising. The biggest technique within advertising, I would say, is repetition. There is a rule of 3 where if you hear something 3 times, it automatically sticks to your long-term memory. Another technique which I find very important would be colour. How you use certain colours can make a massive influence on what you're trying to sell. However, different colours actually tend to work differently for different products. For example, this is a McDonald's advertisement. I know this is a poster, but I'm just using it as an example to show you how a colour can be used. The red here is actually used to encourage excitement, as this is a way that red can be connotated alongside other colours. For example, McDonald's have used the colour yellow, which connotates happiness, which means the red wouldn't connotate other things that we sometimes connotate it with, such as anger or blood, death, etc. Next technique I'm going to look at is something that I actually think is very important, which is association, which is probably one of the oldest tricks in the book when it comes to advertising. For example, if we see a picture, video, film with people happy, laughing, etc., we automatically associate with what they're doing with happiness and laughter. And this is what happens, as that's what's happening on the screen in front of you, which people actually do subconsciously. In this video, you can see that live seems a little bit more sociable, a lot better with the new iPhone, which encourages people to buy their new products. When it comes to video advertisements, billboards, another important technique to remember is the rule of thirds, which is actually when you divide the image and clip into vertical and horizontal lines. Imagining it usually, but some people like to actually do it to see if they've got the technique correct. This technique says that you need to have the important elements within intersections of the horizontal and vertical lines, as this is where people are most drawn to an image. Finally, the last technique I'm going to be looking into is symbolism, which is used in advertising to represent a certain part of a brand or company, often complex ideas that actually have a deeper meaning or message to help sell their product. For example, often you say many jewellery brands with crystals, gems, diamonds within their jewellery often use water alongside the product because they both represent purity and clarity. Here is my own example trying to use the rule of 3, where I'm putting an object within the intersection of the horizontal and vertical lines. I'm now going to be interviewing Natalie and Charlotte. Which company's advertisements do you look forward to seeing?
I always look forward to seeing the Cadbury's ones, because just growing up I always found them quite funny, and I just liked the purple, the theme. It was like something that carried through, and I just liked consistency, and I just thought that was good.
Okay, nice answer. What interests you in an advertisement to make you want to buy a product?
I usually want to buy a product if there's like a catchy song that like goes with it, or if they use like a song that's like in the charts recently, like everyone knows. If they use that song, I'm more likely to buy it, because if I walk past it in the supermarket, I'll associate it with the song or like the theme tune or just the rhythm of the advert.
Cool. Alright, thanks. Which company's advertisements do you look forward to seeing?
The Christmas Coca-Cola advert.
Why?
I like how it's the same every single year, so I know exactly what's coming when I see it. I like the music and how it's like I can automatically link that to the advert, and I also like it because as soon as I see that, I know Christmas is soon, because it's always like linked.
What interests you in an advertisement to make you want to buy the product?
So on a TV advert, I like to watch them because you can see exactly how it works, exactly like what it is, how to use it, and you can see from TV, from seeing it, whether it's value for the money it costs or not.
Thank you. In conclusion, I find nowadays advertising is hugely better than what it started out to be. The people of today is our limit of how good technology can get and how good our advertisements can get. I just find that even though the directors moved on to bigger things such as films, television, I find that they had to prove themselves and take pride in this area to progress. I believe that advertising is a big part of our everyday lives without everyone even realising it.